Imagine waking up in the middle of the night to the roar of floodwaters. You open your door and the street in front of your house is gone, replaced by a churning river of mud carrying away cars, trees, and chunks of walls. Up on the hillside, in just a few seconds, an entire house is buried under a sea of mud and rocks, giving no one a chance to escape. This is not a scene from a disaster movie. This is the reality unfolding in Padang, West Sumatra, Indonesia, once again drowning in deadly floods and landslides. Welcome to Global Weather Disasters. On this channel, we don't just show you how terrifying natural disasters can be. More importantly, we help you understand why they happen, what is changing in our climate and environment, and what we, as humans, can do to reduce the damage. In today's video, we're going to walk together through the timeline of the flood and landslide disaster in Padang, explore why this region is extremely vulnerable, look at the role of climate change, deforestation, and weak planning, and then draw lessons for any city located near rivers, mountains, or coastlines. If you live in an area that floods easily or near hills and mountains, what's happening in Indonesia could very well be a preview of your own future.
Allahu Akbar, Allah, ya Allah, Allah, ya Allah. Air udah naik di lantai 2, ya Allah. Ya Allah, lindungilah kami, ya Allah, dimanapun kami berada, ya Allah.
It all began with rain, something totally normal in the monsoon season, but this time it came down unusually intense and persistent. Rain poured over the mountains surrounding Padang, from the area of Lubuk Kilangan, Bungus Teluk Kabung, to low-lying regions like Kototanga, Nanggalo, and parts of Padang Timur. The Batang Kuranji, Batang Arau, and Batang Kandis rivers, which are already steep and fast-flowing, quickly began to rise. Within just a few hours, water spread from yards into houses. Streets started to sink underwater and turned into brown, fast-moving channels. In many neighborhoods, water climbed up to second floors, forcing people to climb onto rooftops, using flashlights and phone screens to signal for help. While the lowlands were drowning, a different kind of danger was silently building up higher up. On the slopes of Lubuk Kilangan, soil and rock had become saturated after hours of non-stop rain, losing their grip. Cracks deepened, but were almost invisible in the darkness. Then, suddenly, a whole section of the slope gave way. Mud, rocks, and uprooted trees crashed down onto the settlements below, burying several houses completely. At least 11 people were reported dead, and many more were missing under the thick layer of mud, while their family members could only watch helplessly in front of the ruins. Rescue teams and volunteers were quickly mobilized, but they had to fight on two fronts at the same time. In the flooded neighborhoods, rescue boats were used to reach rooftops where people were huddled together in cold, hunger, and panic, waiting to be taken to safer places. On the hillside, excavators, shovels, and even bare hands were working non-stop to dig through the mud, even though the ground above them could collapse again at any moment. In many areas, transport infrastructure was cut off, bridges were damaged, and communication was unstable, making it extremely difficult to coordinate the rescue. Evacuation centers filled up quickly, lacking warm blankets, clean water, and enough food. Many families were left with nothing but the clothes on their backs, losing their homes and livelihoods overnight. Behind the statistics are very personal tragedies, parents going from one shelter to another searching for their children, elderly people with no home left to return to, children screaming in fear every time rain hits the metal roof. Yet in the middle of the ruins, the Indonesian spirit of gotong royong, mutual cooperation, shone through clearly. Neighbors used their own strength to clear mud, share food and water, help the elderly and children evacuate, and take the first steps on the long road to recovery after the disaster.
Allahu Akbar, Allah, ya Allah, Allah, ya Allah. Air udah naik di lantai 2, ya Allah. Ya Allah, lindungilah kami, ya Allah, dimanapun kami berada, ya Allah.
To understand why Padang keeps facing scenes like this, we need to look beyond this single event and examine geography, climate, and the way humans use land. West Sumatra lies between the Bukit Barisan mountain range and the Indian Ocean, where a network of short, steep rivers flows straight from the mountains to the sea. Padang sits exactly in this transition zone. Upstream are steep hills, midstream the river channels are narrow and respond very quickly to heavy rain, and downstream are low-lying floodplains and coastal areas. In other words, with enough rainfall, the natural system here is almost pre-designed to create flash floods and deep inundation. But dangerous geography is only part of the story. The second factor is climate change. The monsoon has always been the heartbeat of this region, but in a warming world, the atmosphere can hold more moisture. And when it rains, that moisture can be released in more intense and concentrated bursts. What used to be called seasonal heavy rain can now easily become record-breaking rainfall, pushing rivers, slopes, and infrastructure beyond their limits. Recent disasters in Pakistan, India, and across Southeast Asia show the same pattern. The monsoon hasn't disappeared. It's becoming more erratic, more extreme, and more dangerous. The third factor, often the one that determines how catastrophic a storm becomes, is how humans use the land. In many areas around Padang, forests have been cleared for agriculture, extraction, or construction. Houses have been built at the foot of slopes, right on riverbanks, and on soft floodplains, places that should, in many cases, be restricted or off-limits. Drainage systems and canals are blocked, encroached on, or filled with garbage, making them unable to handle large volumes of water in a short period of time. When forests disappear, soil loses its ability to absorb and hold water. Rain runs off more quickly, making floodwaters rise sharply. Soil structure weakens, so after days of rain, it is far more likely to collapse. Riverbeds become filled with sediment, mud, and wood, reducing their capacity to carry floodwaters. The result is that each extreme rain event is not just a natural disaster, but a tightly intertwined combination of natural hazard and human-made vulnerability. From Padang's story, we can see a clear reality. Extreme weather is becoming the new normal. Dangerous geography combined with weak planning and unsustainable land use is a recipe for cascading disasters. To reduce damage, we cannot look at floods and landslides in isolation. We need to see them as part of a multi-hazard picture that can unfold simultaneously. Early warning systems, technology, better planning, and community preparedness will determine how many lives are lost in future storms. If you live near a river, on a hillside, or in a coastal city, this story is not far away at all. It's a reminder that we shouldn't wait until water is inside our homes or the slope gives way behind us to ask, what if we had prepared earlier? If Padang's story and the analysis in this video helped you better understand flood and landslide risks in a warming world, please hit like so this content can reach more people. Don't forget to subscribe to Global Weather Disasters so you don't miss upcoming videos breaking down other extreme weather events around the globe. And share in the comments. Has the place where you live ever experienced flooding or landslides? And what preparedness plans exist right now? Knowing early and preparing early means we can save more lives. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and see you in the next episode of Global Weather Disasters.